Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again, ready to sift through a mountain of research and pull out the practical gems. And today, we're tackling something fundamental, communication. Specifically, that really challenging part, listening, right? It feels like everyone loves to talk, to share, but actually listening. That often falls by the wayside, even though it's probably the most critical skill we have, especially with kids.
It really is. We're sort of geared towards broadcasting, aren't we?
Yeah.
Getting our point across. But true connection, true understanding, that happens when you commit to being receptive, to being present.
And that challenge just multiplies when you bring children into the mix. Their communication style is different, their needs are different.
Exactly. So our mission today, it's to go beyond just telling you be quiet and listen. We're going to unpack the mechanics, the psychology, even a bit of the biology behind attention.
Yeah, we want to give you, our listeners, clear strategies, not just for teaching kids to listen, but also understanding how our listening, how we model it, profoundly shapes their development. And let's just get this straight from the start. Listening is a choice. It's active. People often mix up hearing and listening. Okay, explain that difference.
Well, hearing, that's passive. It's involuntary. Sound waves hit your ears, your brain registers sound. You can't really not hear unless there's a physical issue.
But listening, that's different.
Totally different. Listening is active. It's voluntary, intentional. It takes cognitive effort to actually process and understand the meaning behind the sounds. You have to decide to do it.
And that decision, that effort, it has huge power, right? Especially for relationships, because it makes the other person feel genuinely heard.
That's the core of it. When you truly try to understand someone's thoughts, their feelings, their needs, you cut down on misunderstandings. You stop yourself from jumping to conclusions or judgments.
And that feeling of being seen, being validated, that's just bedrock for connection, isn't it? For kids, for adults, for everyone.
Absolutely essential.
Okay, before we really dive into the how-to, just a quick heads up. We know this is a lot to take in, so to help you apply these ideas, we've put a couple of links in the description below.
Yeah, there's a really lovely coloring book there. It's designed to help kids develop creative and cognitive skills, perfect for encouraging that quiet focus we're talking about.
And there's also a nice, simple notebook in PDF format. Great for jotting down ideas, maybe some of the tasks or techniques we covered today as you listen. So check those out after the deep dive.
All right, shall we get into the foundations? Moving away from that sort of passive, zoned-out listening.
Yes. Let's talk active listening. Our sources seem to boil it down to 3 core steps, 3 foundational rules.
That's right. And the first one, it sounds simple, but oh boy, is it tough in practice. Let me guess. Do not interrupt. Bingo. That's the absolute first golden rule. The moment you cut someone off, especially a child who's maybe struggling to tell a story.
You're basically saying, my thoughts are more important than yours right now.
Exactly. The conversation instantly stops being about their experience and becomes about your story or your reaction or what you plan to say next.
And our brains kind of work against us here, don't they? We interrupt because we're already planning our reply, we're thinking about our comeback, not absorbing what's being said.
That's the mental trap. We're in reply mode, not receive mode. So the way to fight it is actually quite physical.
Okay, actionable steps. What are they?
Put down the devices. Put them away, out of sight, not just face down on the table. Give your full attention. Make eye contact, soft eye contact, not staring them down.
And maybe consciously hold still, like resist that urge to lean in and jump.
Yes, holding still is a good way to put it. Ground your hands, lean back slightly if you need to. Just let them finish. Wait for the natural pause at the end of their thought. Don't rush it. Okay, rule 1, no interrupting. What's the second big quality? This one feels counterintuitive for parents sometimes. It really does. Rule 2, do not offer advice or solutions right away.
This is hard. My kid loses a toy, they're upset, I know where it is. It feels so much faster to just say, it's under the sofa. Why hold back? Isn't that just inefficient?
But we're confusing speed with effectiveness. What the research tells us is that most people, kids included, don't primarily want to fix. They want to be heard. They want their feelings acknowledged and supported. They don't want to be judged or immediately told they're wrong or that their problem is simple.
So jumping in with the answer, even if it's right, kind of short-circuits something important.
It can, yeah. It short-circuits their chance to process the emotion, to maybe even figure out the solution themselves. It subtly undermines their sense of competence. Think about it like therapy.
Okay.
A good therapist doesn't just hand out answers. They listen, they might clarify, and then they guide the person to find their own solution. They ask things like, that sounds tough. What do you think might help with this situation?
So advice is okay eventually? Maybe, but not as the first response.
Exactly. Maybe gently towards the end, especially if they seem really stuck, or if they explicitly ask, what should I do? But hold off initially. Focus on understanding first.
Let's use that dog example. Scenario 1, the poor listener. Kid asks for a dog and bam, parent shuts it down. Nope. Dogs are messy, too much work, who's gonna walk it? We're not doing it. Maybe offers a quick alternative. Get a fish? Completely missed the why, didn't even ask, just jumped to objections and solutions.
Right. Confirm the child's suspicion that their desires aren't really valid or worth exploring. Now contrast that with the third step, which ties into good listening.
Which is reflective listening and paraphrasing, but with a key addition, focusing on the emotion. Okay, so it's not just repeating back facts, it's reflecting the feeling.
Precisely. You paraphrase what they said, sure, but you make a point of naming and validating the emotion you hear, like maybe two kids are fighting over Lego.
Instead of stop fighting, you
Yeah.
say.
Something like, okay, let me see if I understand. You're feeling really angry and maybe sad because Johnny broke the tower you worked hard on. Is that right? Wow, that sounds super upsetting. I'm sorry that happened.
You're labeling the anger, the frustration. You're
Yeah.
showing you get the feeling.
And that validation is everything. Because emotions are how we connect. When you acknowledge the anger, the disappointment, the excitement, whatever it is, you're showing them you see their inner world, not just the external situation, like the broken Lego.
That makes sense. It builds that bridge of understanding.
And that brings us back to the dog example, but the good listening version, scenario 2.
Okay, kid asks for a dog. Good listener, parent says.
Instead of no, they ask, interesting. Tell me more. Why a dog? What are you hoping a dog would bring to your life?
Getting to the why.
Exactly. Maybe the child says, I want a friend, something that's mine that I can take care of and play with.
And the parent reflects that back.
Yes, reflecting the need. Okay, so what I'm hearing is you're feeling need for companionship and maybe also for some responsibility. You want an animal friend that's really yours to care for and connect with. That makes sense.
Notice they haven't agreed to the dog.
Not at all. But they've validated the underlying need for connection, for competence. And then they can pivot by shifting the focus slightly. Okay, wanting that responsibility is great. Let's imagine you did have a dog. What kinds of things would you need to do to be a really good, responsible owner?
Turning it into a project. Research breeds, training, costs.
Exactly. It channels the child's desire into learning and planning, all while making them feel heard and respected. It's a completely different conversation. Okay, so those are the 3 foundational steps. Don't interrupt, don't jump to solutions, and reflect the emotion. Now let's broaden out. You mentioned 4 observable qualities of active listening.
Okay.
These are things you can actually see or hear when someone is truly engaged. Quality 1 is the most obvious, nonverbal communication. Putting the phone away, open posture, eye contact. We covered that. But you said something intriguing, listening with your eyes. What's that about? It means paying close attention to the speaker's body language and micro-expressions. Are they fidgeting? Is their jaw tight? Does their voice sound strained even if the words are neutral? Are they avoiding eye contact?
So looking for the signals behind the words.
Exactly. Nonverbal cues often tell you the real emotional story. Tuning into those gives you a much deeper, richer understanding of what's actually being communicated.
Makes sense. Okay, quality 2.
Verbal communication. This isn't just about talking. It's about how you interact verbally while they're speaking and how you ask questions.
So asking good questions, thoughtful ones, and then actually waiting for the answer, giving them space.
Crucial. And while they're talking, using those little verbal nods. Things like, okay, yeah, I hear you. Oh, really?
The little encouragers that show you're tracking along.
Precisely. They're like little check-ins. They tell the speaker, yep, I'm still here, I'm processing this with you, without actually interrupting their flow.
Okay. Quality 3.
Responding to what was said. Once they have finished their thought, you can't just sit there like a statue. You need to offer some kind of response that shows you absorbed it.
So not a blank stare.
Definitely not. It could be a reflective statement like, wow, that sounds like it was really exciting, or gosh, that must have been frustrating. Or it could be a follow-up question that clearly links to what they just finished saying.
Like you mentioned getting into pottery. How did you first discover that?
Perfect. The key is an informed reaction. Something that proves you were actually listening, not just waiting for your turn. Silence or a blank look just feels dismissive.
And the 4th quality.
Keep the focus on them. This takes discipline. Especially in the beginning of a conversation, really commit to making it about the other person. Resist that powerful urge to jump in with your own related story.
Oh, that happened to me too, let me tell you.
Fight that impulse, or the urge to change the subject to something you find more interesting. Keep your own talking terms concise, especially at first. Let them have the floor.
Okay, those 4 qualities make sense. But even if we want to do all that, our brains can get in the way. Let's talk about those mental barriers. Yes, the saboteurs. The sources highlight 6 common ones. Barrier number 1 is probably the most common. Distractions, physical things, noises, screens, all of it. And the advice is stark. Phones need to be 100% out of sight. In a pocket, in a bag, in another room. Just silencing it isn't enough. If it's visible, part of your brain is constantly monitoring it, fighting the urge to check. That proximity creates a cognitive load, basically.
It absolutely does. And you need to be proactive about the environment too. Close the door, move away from the noisy TV. Maybe even ask others nearby to quiet down for a few minutes. Taking control of the space signals that the conversation matters. Okay, barrier 2, preoccupation, mental busyness. This is all internal.
Right.
Your body is there, but your mind is elsewhere. You're thinking about that email you need to send, or what's for dinner, or replaying an argument from yesterday.
Or the drift. That's relatable. The speaker says one word, like vacation.
And suddenly, you're mentally planning your next trip, or remembering your last one, and you've completely missed the last 30 seconds of what they were actually saying about their project deadline.
It happens so fast. How do you fight the drift? What's the practical tip?
You need an active anchor. The moment you catch yourself drifting, acknowledge it internally, oops, drifted, then tell yourself, not now, and immediately force yourself to recall the very last phrase the speaker said.
Like a quick mental rewind.
Exactly. Then, re-engage actively. Force eye contact again, maybe offer a small verbal nod like, yeah, or ask a brief clarifying question about what they just said like, sorry, could you repeat that last part about the budget? It yanks your focus back. Okay, barrier 3, listening too much for details. I do this. Focusing so hard on every single tiny step that I miss the main point. Yeah, the hyper-focus on the granular. Missing the forest for the trees, like the child telling you every single block they placed, and you miss the fact they're asking for help moving the finished creation.
So the tip is to consciously try to grasp the main themes first. Trust that you can ask for details later if needed. Precisely. Let yourself focus on the big picture, the overall message. Remind yourself, I can circle back for specifics.
The topic is, well, boring, or just not relevant to you, you mentally check out.
This happens all the time in group settings or long conversations. The key here is a mindset shift. You have to choose to be interested.
Choose curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actively ask yourself, okay, what's one surprising or interesting thing I can learn here, even if the topic isn't my usual thing? Frame it as a mini challenge for yourself. When you decide to be curious, you switch from passive hearing to active seeking.
Okay, barrier 5, this feels like a big one. The rebuttal tendency. Oh, it's huge. That quote nails it. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Guilty as charged, you're not listening to them. You're listening for gaps, for points you can argue against, for the perfect moment to jump in with your brilliant counter-argument.
And while you're busy crafting that perfect reply, you're inevitably missing nuances, caveats, maybe even the core of their message. It's a massive block to understanding.
So the advice is, just stop. Stop calculating your response while they're talking.
Pretty much. Dedicate 100% of your mental bandwidth to receiving and processing their words. Trust that you'll be able to formulate a response after they've finished. Don't multitask mentally.
And that connects to the pause, right? Committing to waiting a beat or two after they stop talking before you start. That still feels awkward sometimes.
It does feel unnatural at first because we're so used to that rapid-fire conversational tennis. But that little pause is incredibly powerful.
Why? What does it do?
3 things. 1, it shows immense respect. You're making sure they're truly finished. 2, it confirms they are finished. 3, and most importantly, it gives your brain the split second it needs to access the information you just received because you're actually listening. And formulate a response that's thoughtful and genuinely connected to what they said rather than just pre-planned. It trains you out of that immediate rebuttal habit. Okay, makes sense. Final barrier number 6, the unengaging speaker. Maybe they're monotone, use a lot of filler words, ramble a bit. Yeah, sometimes the delivery just makes it hard work. The tip here is simple. Give them grace. Lower your expectations for them to be some kind of perfect, captivating orator.
Focus on the message, not the package.
Exactly. Filter out the ums and ahs, ignore the monotone if you can, and focus purely on the content. What are the key ideas? What's the structure? What are they trying to convey? Remind yourself your job is to extract the meaning, regardless of the delivery style.
All right, so we've covered active listening foundations, qualities, and barriers. Let's pivot now specifically to building these skills in children, starting with just getting their attention effectively.
Right.
And the first tip might surprise you. Speak softer, not louder. Softer. Wouldn't shouting cut through the noise better?
It grabs attention, sure, but often through startling them or triggering a bit of anxiety, that fight or flight. That's not really conducive to receptive listening. A calmer, maybe even slightly softer voice requires them to actively focus and line in to hear you. It engages their attention more voluntarily. Interesting. And then the physicals, use their name, ask them to look at you, and crucially, you look at them when they speak. Model that focused attention. And don't forget praise. When they do listen well, acknowledge it specifically. Wow, you listened to all 3 steps. That was great.
And managing the environment is key for kids too, maybe even more so.
Absolutely non-negotiable for developing brains. Background noise, TV, music, other adults talking, tablets, it's like static that makes it incredibly hard for them to filter out your voice. You have to actively reduce or eliminate it when you need them to listen to instructions.
Okay, let's talk instructions. The big mistake is making them too complicated.
Huge mistake, especially for younger kids, say under 5 or 6, or any child with focus challenges. Their working memory just can't hold on to a long string of commands, like that example. Go inside, coat off, in the cubby, wash hands, get book, sit quiet.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's just setting them up to fail. They'll probably remember the first 1 or 2 things and then poof, lost, which leads to frustration for everyone. So the strategy is slow down, break it down, 1 or 2 simple steps at a time. Exactly. First, please hang up your coat. Then, please wash your hands. Wait for those to be done before giving the next step if there is one.
What about routines, like getting ready for school or chores? Those often involve multiple steps.
That's where lists come in. Visual lists are fantastic. Pictures for pre-readers, simple words for older kids. Put the steps in order.
And the key insight here wasn't just using the list, but teaching the child to use it, right?
Yes.
Instead of you constantly repeating, did you brush your teeth? Did you pack your lunch? You teach them the skill. Go check your list. What's next? It empowers them, builds independence, and takes the load off your working memory too.
Good point. We also need to teach them how to ask for help when they can't understand us.
Self-advocacy, yes. Give them the words. It's okay to say, hang on, I didn't get all that. Could you say it slower? Or what does that word mean? Normalize asking for clarification. And we can check their understanding using repeat and rephrase.
Yeah, it's a great little diagnostic tool. Ask them, okay, can you tell me back in your own words what I just asked you to do? Or for older kids, can you repeat the instructions? If they can't, it's a clear signal. Either they weren't paying attention, or, more likely, the instruction was too complex or unclear. It prevents problems before they start acting on misunderstood directions. Okay, let's apply this active listening model, validating emotion, guiding solutions to some kid scenarios. Scenario 3, the tiger fight. 2 kids are scrapping over a toy. Poor listener parent sighs, rolls her eyes. Oof, not again. Always fighting over that stupid tiger. Just share it. I need to finish this email. Problem maybe temporarily stops, but nothing is learned. Nobody feels understood.
Right. Now, scenario 4, the good listener. They pause their work, maybe gently separate the kids from the toy for a second, and they get down on their level.
And starts with feelings.
Starts with feelings. Wow, it looks like there's some really big feelings happening here about this tiger. Are you feeling frustrated? Angry? Tell me what's going on. Validating first. Then what?
Then pivot to problem solving, but put the ball in their court. Okay, this tiger is causing fights. What do you guys think we could do about this so you can both feel okay?
And the kids might actually come up with ideas.
Often they do. Maybe we could use a timer, or maybe tiger needs a timeout on the shelf for a little while. The parent listens, validates the ideas, and helps them commit to trying their solution. It builds conflict resolution skills and autonomy. Okay, another one. Scenario 5. Kid wants to quit dance class halfway through the term because it's getting hard. Poor listener parent immediately goes to judgment and lectures. What? Quit. We paid for this. You can't just give up when things get tough. Life is hard. You need perseverance.
Shuts down the conversation. The kid feels unheard, maybe ashamed.
Exactly. Now, scenario 6, the good listener parent. They hear the, I want to quit, and pause. They try to understand the feeling behind the words.
So they might say,
Okay, I hear you saying you want to quit dance. It sounds like you're feeling really frustrated right now, maybe because the recital choreography has tricky moves. Is that it? That sounds discouraging when you can't get it right away.
Naming the frustration, the discouragement, validating the struggle.
Yes. Then move to problem solving together. Okay, feeling frustrated makes sense. What do you think might help you feel a bit better about those tricky steps? Any ideas?
Maybe the child suggests practicing more at home, watching YouTube tutorials.
Right. The parent supports that plan first. That's a great idea. Let's try practicing together for the next couple of weeks. And you know what? If after really trying that, you still feel this frustrated and want to stop, we can talk then about maybe finding a different activity next term. How does that sound?
So it's not giving in immediately, but it's respecting the feeling, supporting the child's problem-solving effort, and offering a collaborative path forward. Huge difference.
Night and day. It maintains the connection and teaches resilience through support, not just through demands.
This is all incredibly helpful. But sometimes the listening difficulty isn't just about attention or technique. Sometimes it's biological, right? Let's talk about auditory processing.
Yes, this is crucial to understand. Auditory processing, or AP, isn't about hearing acuity. A child can have perfectly normal hearing thresholds on a standard test.
So their ears work fine.
Their ears work fine in terms of detecting sound. AP is about what the brain does with that sound once it arrives, how it filters, interprets, organizes, and makes sense of auditory information, especially speech and noise.
And when that system struggles, that can lead to challenges, like CAPD.
Exactly. Central Auditory Processing Disorder, or CAPD, is a diagnosis for when the brain has significant difficulty processing auditory information. But many kids can have milder AP challenges without a full diagnosis.
What are some signs parents might notice if a child is struggling with AP?
It can look like a lot of things. Maybe trouble with spelling or learning phonics, difficulty following directions, especially multi-step ones. They might seem easily distracted by background noise or get overwhelmed and have meltdowns in noisy places like cafeterias or parties.
So that kid who covers their ears and cries when the fire alarm goes off unexpectedly.
That could be a sign, yeah. Or the child who frequently says, "What?" or "Huh?" even when you feel like you spoke clearly. They might struggle to follow conversations, especially in groups, or take longer than expected to process a question and formulate an answer. It's like the brain's filter or processing speed isn't quite keeping up.
Okay, so if parents suspect this, they should seek professional evaluation, obviously. But you mentioned activities that can help all kids strengthen these skills, diagnosed or not.
Absolutely. These activities help train the brain's auditory pathways. And the first big tool is music.
Music is good for brains in general, right? Hugely beneficial, especially for AP. You can use music games. Ask kids to listen for specific things. Clap every time you hear the drum, or raise your hand when the music sounds high, put it down when it sounds low. Identifying different instruments, it forces active, targeted listening. And you mentioned phonics and sounds earlier.
Yes, actively working on distinguishing subtle sound differences, phonemes, is critical. The difference between B and D, or F and TF. Many kids who struggle with reading have underlying difficulties hearing these subtle differences accurately.
Which connects to rhyming.
Definitely. Rhyming games, nursery rhymes, poetry, they are powerful tools for training phonemic awareness. They force the brain to attend to the sound structure of language. Kids who find rhyming difficult or uninteresting might be showing signs of struggling auditory processing.
Okay, let's get practical. 5 fun activities parents can try. You mentioned the metronome first. That sounds clinical.
It sounds clinical, but it's incredibly effective and can be fun. Get a simple metronome app or a physical one. Start it slow, maybe 60 beats per minute.
And do what with it?
Use it for rhythmic activities. Clap along to the beat, tap your knees, march in place. Do simple cross-body movements, like touching left hand to right knee, in time with the beat. It helps the brain practice processing, timing, and sequence.
Like auditory pattern training.
Exactly. You can even do auditory hide and seek. Hide the ticking metronome and have the child find it just by following the sound, like a game of Marco Polo with a steady beat. Cool idea. Okay, activity 2. Simon says in variations, classic, but so good for auditory attention and memory. Start simple. Simon says touch your nose. 1 step. As they get better, increase the complexity.
More steps.
Yeah, challenge that working memory. Simon says put your left hand on your right ear, A and D, stick out your tongue, or even 3 steps. Variations like stop, walk, wiggle, sit, or red light, green light, where different commands trigger different movements, are also great. Red light means freeze and balance on 1 foot. Connects listening directly to motor planning.
Auditory memory games.
For little ones, sing-along songs with actions are perfect. Wheels on the bus, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. The movement helps lock in the sequence.
And for older kids?
The I'm going on a picnic or I'm going to grandma's house game. Each person repeats the growing list and adds one item. I'm going to grandma's and I'm bringing an apple. I'm going to grandma's and I'm bringing an apple and a ball. You can make it physical too. Maybe assign a little jump or clap to each item recalled.
Identify the noise game.
Simple and fun. Child closes their eyes. Adult makes a distinct sound. Crumple paper, jingle keys, bounce a ball, snap fingers. Child has to identify the sound, maybe even try to imitate it, then switch roles.
Sharpens their ability to discriminate between different sounds in the environment.
Which is crucial for filtering speech from background noise later on. And Activity 5, board games with listening components. Yes, games that require following instructions, remembering sequences, or listening for specific cues. Twister is fantastic listening to complex left-right body part commands. Bop It, Simon, even Battleship listening for coordinates. Or, guess who? Listening to descriptive questions and answers. They make listening practice engaging.
Those are great practical ideas. Now, we've talked a lot about listening in relationships and listening skills for kids. What about listening purely to learn, like in school or at work? Comprehensive listening.
Right, sometimes called informational listening. The goal here isn't primarily relationship building, it's understanding, grasping information, learning new concepts, listening to a lecture, a briefing, instructions from a supervisor.
Do the same principles apply?
The core discipline does. If you can train your mind to actively listen to your child, you can apply that focus to learning. But there are a few specific tips for maximizing comprehensive listening.
Okay, tip 1.
Flip the listening switch. Consciously adopt the posture and mental state of a learner. Think about how focused an athlete is listening to their coach during a game.
Full attention, eye contact, body oriented towards the speaker. Exactly. Mentally decide. Okay, learning time. Everything else gets pushed aside. You're actively seeking to absorb and synthesize information. Tip 2 involves writing.
Take written notes. Especially in professional or academic settings, this is crucial. And the sources emphasize analog notes, pen, and paper.
Why analog?
The physical act of writing seems to engage different memory pathways than typing. It forces you to summarize and process more actively. Plus, writing in a notebook signals seriousness and engagement to the speaker much more clearly than typing on a laptop, which could look like you're multitasking or distracted.
Good point. And review the notes soon after.
Definitely. Reviewing notes within an hour or so dramatically increases retention. It helps move the information from short-term recall to longer-term storage. Okay, tip 3. Mentally structure the information as you listen. Yes, don't just try to absorb a flood of words. Actively listen for the structure. Try to identify the main themes or key points, usually just a few.
Then connect the details back to those main points.
Exactly. See the examples, the data, the explanations as details that support those key points. And critically, listen for the action steps. What needs to happen next? Who needs to do it? By when? Creating this mental outline helps you organize the information in real time.
And tip 4 is about questions again.
Ask clarifying questions. But these are genuine questions to ensure your understanding is accurate, not just questions to show off or pretend you were listening. If something's unclear, ask. Could you explain that term again? Or, so if I understand correctly, the next step is X.
It helps you, and it also gives the speaker feedback on where their explanation might have been fuzzy.
Absolutely. It ensures everyone leaves on the same page, which is vital for informational listening.
And the bonus tip ties it all together. Follow up and take action.
This is the ultimate proof. You can nod, take notes, ask great questions. But if you don't do what was discussed or agreed upon, the perception will be that you weren't really listening.
So when someone says he just doesn't listen, they often mean he doesn't follow through.
Often, yes. Action is how you demonstrate that the listening led to understanding and commitment. It's how you earn that gold star listener reputation, especially at work or in collaborative projects. Follow through is key. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot. Let's try to synthesize. 2 main streams here. Active listening for connection, don't interrupt. Validate feelings, reflect back. And then the developmental side for kids, clear instructions, less noise, specific AP activities, using play.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that core idea of listening being foundational. Remember that point about language learning?
Yeah, that kids learn their entire native language just by listening. No textbooks, no grammar lessons initially, just immersion and listening. It really highlights how fundamental listening is for acquiring any kind of knowledge, especially language. Getting the pronunciation, the rhythm, the context. It all comes through the ears first.
Which leads to that practical tip for parents trying to introduce a second language.
Right. Use content videos, songs, simple stories where the child already knows about 90% of the words. That comprehensible input makes it easier to pick up the new 10% through context.
And avoid direct translation if possible. Use pictures, gestures, context within the target language.
Yes, build the meaning in the new language and tap into their interests. If they love Minecraft, find Minecraft videos in Spanish. If they love Peppa Pig, find it in French. Make the content engaging and the listening becomes more natural.
Okay, we started by saying listening is a choice, a commitment. Hopefully this deep dive has given everyone some concrete tools and perspectives to make that choice more often and more effectively.
Which leads to that final thought. If listening is a choice to prioritize the other person, to truly receive what they're offering, how often are we, as adults, really making that choice?
Especially compared to how much we expect it from our kids.
Exactly. Are we putting away our own distractions, quieting our own mental chatter, resisting our own urge to interrupt or rebut with the same energy we expect from them?
So the challenge for everyone listening is maybe to pick one barrier. We talked about preoccupation, the rebuttal tendency, distraction, whatever resonates most, and make a conscious effort to work on just that one thing this week.
Yeah. Just one small shift to become a slightly better receiver, whether it's receiving knowledge or receiving connection from the people in our lives.
A powerful thought to end on. Remember to check out the links for the coloring book and notebook PDF in the description if you want some tools to help with focus and creativity. Thanks as always for tuning in to The Deep Dive.